Hey guys, Alex here, ajnashville.com, here again with our co-host, Mr. Greg Pease.
Greg Pease, not Gregory this time.
Not Gregory this time, no sir.
As always, I'm excited to be here today, and also as always, we've prepared a topic to add value when we get done today's podcast. When you get done listening to this, by the time you arrive to work, because we're going to get it out before you even get to work, and if you get there before we're done, just sit in the parking lot for me.
Yeah, your boss don't care that you're late. You walk in and you'd be, hey, you're 7 minutes late. Yeah, but I was listening to the
AJ
podcast.
Nashville podcast.
I mean, geez, But now, one thing I want to talk about, are you gracious that I didn't call you Gregory?
I am very grateful.
Grateful, gracious. It's kind of the same. So, but that's what our topic surrounding today is actual gratitude.
Yeah, go ahead. Good.
No. I was just gonna say there's a lot of cases where we don't express our gratitude to people for whatever reasons. Maybe it's just an unknown thing that we're actually grateful for. Like the ability, we just talked about an office, like the ability to show up at an office, especially during a pandemic, and have a place to go into and work, but showing that gratitude to maybe your boss. When you walk in and you say, hey, you know what? I know things are tight for a lot of people, but thanks for letting me continue what I'm doing here and being a part of the team.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Having the ability to, at whatever level, wherever you are working at, having the ability to acquire a substantial an amount of income that allows you to provide for your family. I mean, it's definitely something. And a lot of times we get too busy. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes also I think we just get distracted because we all have challenges. Like even like really successful people have challenges, and everyone has challenges. So sometimes we just get distracted with all the challenges we have, and we forget to be grateful for all the things we have. We all know we have a lot of things to be grateful for, mm-hmm. but we want to dive into a little bit deeper around areas that we may be taking for granted, and the goal would not. The goal is to just maybe create a little bit of awareness of, if we had a little bit more of an attitude of gratitude to the things we have. My belief for you is that having the awareness of the things that you're grateful for will create a happier life.
Well, and it's kind of funny that you started to dive into this, and that was that point of taking things for granted. A lot of times I almost feel like they go hand in hand. Like if you're not expressing gratitude for something, it's because you've taken it for granted.
I agree.
It's like showing up and, every time you show up at grandma's house, she's got cookies made. And then one day she doesn't have cookies made and you're upset. You're like, hey, where's the cookies? You always have cookies here. And she's like, oh, I forgot sugar.
But did you thank her and hug her every other time?
Every other time. Exactly. Instead, you're just upset
that they were there.
Right. You were just upset because the cookies weren't there that time.
Yeah.
So you literally there's a lack of gratitude in that situation because you're not grateful for all the times that there was cookies there, and you took it for granted that they would be there that time, and because they weren't, now the attitude has shifted because of that. It's almost like we expect a certain result no matter what, and when that result's not delivered, we point fingers. We say, no, this is your fault. You should have had this done.
And sadly, we just had no buy-in to the situation, and just by allowing ourselves, because we all do it, right? So no one here has to feel guilty on this podcast, and if you do, I'm the first one.
Right.
We all do it, but we didn't have any buy-in on that situation. That's why we thought it was someone else's fault. If we just by allowing ourselves an attitude of gratitude, just by allowing ourselves to show appreciation to grandma for her cookies, we now have buy into the situation.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
When I show up to grandma's house, I'm like, dude, the cookies are gonna be there. I want to make sure I really put some love on her. I have buy-in to this situation. I'm part of these cookies. Plus, I promise, Gam ain't about to forget the sugar if you put a hug on her every time.
No, exactly. There's not a chance.
Not a chance.
Unless you show up unexpected,
Yeah, right.
Then she's probably got some cookies in a baggie or something.
Still, yeah.
But no, I mean, the fact is that, in a lot of cases, we don't realize that those things are there until they're gone.
Absolutely.
And the big thing is to absorb those things around you and see the appreciation that went behind it. The fact is a lot of times we talk about grandma's cookies, it may have taken her 45 minutes in the grocery store, 15 minutes in traffic, and another hour to make them. That's 2 hours out of grandma's day to make what? These delicious little treats that you're going to devour and
devour them too. They're going to be gone.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
No, but that's and we don't even pay attention to them. We're using and I love the analogy.
Yeah.
We're using grandma's analogy, but insert anything, right? But how much time was put in that did grandma put into these cookies? And we just, and again, just assuming that it would always be there, we didn't
Right.
allow ourselves the appreciation factor. And again, we everyone knows this podcast. We don't have a big like aha moment, like, oh wow, I didn't realize. Like, we all know it, but it's a refresher. It's the beginning of the year. It's a refresher around that attitude of gratitude, where if we would be, if we would realize. So you talked about how we take things for granted until they're gone.
Yeah.
If we allow ourselves an attitude of gratitude, if we appreciate the things that we have every time, like every day, like when you get home, like appreciate your kids, like when you get in the car, appreciate that you actually have a car. And like, I don't care how beat up or awesome that car is. Like if you have a car, like appreciate that. And if you don't, do you have a bike? And if you don't, do you have both of your legs? And if you don't, do
you have health?
Do you have health?
Right.
Do you have family? Right.
There's literally...
But whatever that piece is, I'm sorry, I'm gonna dive into it. So whatever that piece is, if we allow ourselves that attitude of gratitude, it doesn't just disappear one day. We actually get to enjoy it every day, and that's where that happiness comes in.
Right. Well, the thing is we're not telling you to go around and, hey, thanks so much, Greg, for wearing that shirt because it looks beautiful on you. And by the way, I need to stop at the front desk and say, hey, Val, thanks so much for being at the front desk today. But if you show appreciation to those individuals, I'll give you a prime example, and this is something that's very minor and very simple, and I challenge those of you that are listening to this to do this at some point. We talk about going through like the Walmart checkout, and that person sometimes deals with some very aggressive, very ignorant individuals that will come through their lane. But if you look up and just say, hey, thanks so much, Greg, I appreciate that. Like that is, for that moment, that 10 seconds maybe that makes them feel warm and fuzzy, was worth it to them. That could change the direction of their whole day just by showing a little bit of gratitude and acknowledging that, hey, you have helped me get through this line quickly and not use self-checkout, because everybody knows that if I have to use self-checkout, I'm not a very happy individual.
We're going to need a sales attendant.
Right, exactly. Where's the little blue? No, that was Kmart, the blue light.
What is Kmart? No.
I don't think they have Kmarts anymore. The millennials listening to this, I know you don't know what Kmart is, but it's a place where they used to sell giraffes. So,
it was before Sam Walton, before his time.
Before Walmart. Walmart put Kmart out of business, and I'm very grateful for that. I actually, one of my first jobs was at Kmart in the shoe stocking. And if you know about my personality, there's no way I could sit there and be like, size 7s go with size 7s and size 6.5 goes before that.
I'm guessing you were in there mix matching the shoes.
Dude, I was in there just throwing shoes on the shelf. Yeah, I took my job for granted.
Took my job
until
for
I
granted.
didn't have it anymore. But no, I mean,
that was a lesson though.
Right, for sure. It was a lesson of failure. So,
yeah.
But diving back into this, the taking things for granted. We're surrounded by opportunities every single day. We're surrounded by positive things every single day that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to hold and to share. You look at some of these other countries and getting fresh water or food or any of that. It's something that we're like, oh, whatever. I turn the faucet on, water comes out. I turn the switch on, lights come on. Yep. There was a point in my life where you turn the switch on, and it's just going to click. That's all it's going to do. It's going to click, and you turn it back off, it's going to click, and there's no breaker to turn on because the power man shut it off. But if you hook the red to the positive side of the battery, the Christmas lights will come on. But that was part of being poor. And so from time to time, I'll physically remind myself, when you turn that light on, that power came on. And that power came on because you committed to do something to support your family, to make sure that that's never an issue, to where that light switch doesn't produce power unless there's an underlying issue that's not related to the electric bill.
Well, and even if, and I would venture to say, like, sometimes you don't have to admit it, but sometimes you probably literally have a physical smile come across your face when you actually think that.
Yeah.
And even if if your facial features don't move, that's that smile that you put on that Walmart clerk's face.
Yes.
You can put it on your own face as well.
Right.
See, there's showing appreciation to others, but then there's also being grateful for what you have.
Yeah.
And both are extremely important. It's also rewarding. Alex, have you ever got done with the clerk? It didn't have to be at Walmart. It just couldn't be at Kmart. But if you got done, you ever get done right, and you're like, hey, thank you, Tina, or whatever they say, and you can see that smile on her face, and literally when you walk away, you're like, oh, I feel good.
Yeah,
I made her feel good.
Well, we all do that though. To some degree, a lot of people say this. They'll go down and feed the homeless, do things like that, and they say, I'm just doing it for me. I don't need any recognition on it. And there's those cases where you do something, you're like, you know what, that felt good. It felt good to see that person with a flat tire and to pull over and help them.
Help 'em.
I don't need to get on Facebook and be
Nothing for
like, check it
anything.
out. I'm changing
Look
this
at this
flat
loser
tire.
doesn't have a tire iron.
AAA, bro. But you're absolutely right, and it's something as minor as that. And the big thing is I'm able to step back and see my children be able to enjoy those things, the simple things like power or a bath, or if they say, Daddy, I'd really like to have this, that I can provide it for them. No matter what it is that they're asking for, I can find a route to get it to them. The other thing is that I think a lot of us take for granted, and I'm going to dive into this because my passion here. We take our freedoms for granted, where we have men and women that are deployed that will not see their child, be born, will not see the first steps, will not hear the first words, and we take for granted when we see those. In fact, a lot of us, a lot of the times, will tell our kids to stop talking, shut up, do this, do that, because of the fact that we're not missing those sweet words. We're not missing the things that these people, and granted, I know there's someone listening that says, well, that's their job. That's what they signed up to do. Okay, we can agree on that to maybe a degree.
Obviously being a veteran myself, and I don't want to be too harsh, but I just have to say the person that thinks that way, listen, man, this podcast is around an attitude of gratitude.
Right, exactly. and that's 100%. If you think that way, you've got to change that mindset, because the fact is, if they don't step up to do it, then that's an empty slot. That's an empty slot in the wall of protection that we experience on a
100%.
day-to-day basis from the, firefighters, first responders, EMS. Like, you pick up the phone and 911, yeah, what's your emergency? My house is on fire. Guess what? This big truck rolls up and it makes all kinds of noise, and these men and women jump off it and they bring what? Water. They're like, I got water. I can put your fire out. I could save your personal belongings. But we take that for granted on a day-to-day
100%.
unless we have a fire.
100%.
We have a fire, and the big thing we want to do is what? We want to get them there. We want to.
Nothing else matters at that time.
Exactly. Nothing else matters but the safety.
Prior to that, we didn't even
Right.
we didn't have any form of how many times during the year for people that have been blessed and not having a house fire. And I mean, we're working with a client right now that had a house fire. Yeah.
Yep.
But for how many people that have not had a house fire, then blessed with not having a house fire, how many times this year did you think about your local fire department?
Right.
And
That you
maybe
probably
you did
drive
some.
past
I don't
every
know.
day.
And to be honest, I haven't. This is eye opening to me. This is an area where I'm like, oh wow, like I
Right.
need to think more about. Are they supported? I'm definitely glad that those men and women exist and are willing to do
Absolutely.
that. Because I think most firefighters volunteer as well.
You do. You have a ton of them. Look, I've done some loans for firefighters, and let me tell you, they ain't in it for the money.
Yeah.
Very few. If you're in it for the money and you're a firefighter, you're a liar. You're in it because you can appreciate providing protection to your community in a sense that nobody else can.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this to bring down firefighters. I'm just saying that these people have committed to serving their community, and it's not for the compensation.
Yeah.
You know. And I'm very fortunate to know quite a few of these men and women. And the thing is they will tell you they will rush into a burning building to save your family, no questions asked.
Yeah,
That's what they signed up for. So and the point that we get to is there are those days where we're sitting there and we're sitting in traffic, and you're like, another wreck. Here I am. I'm going to be late to get home. My food's gonna be. Well, what about the person that was in that wreck? That may not go home. Period. So the gratitude, like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'm sitting here in this wreck, but I'm in my vehicle and it's warm, and I can pick up my cell phone and I can call my wife
control.
and say,
you got a whole entire pocket-sized computer of a cell phone.
Literally, yeah. You can sit there and do whatever you want, So, but the other thing that we have to consider now, this is kind of shifting a little bit, but those leaders in the community, and we can use the firefighters for example. They don't need someone to come pat them on the back, but it sure feels good when someone does. The fact is as a leader, we don't necessarily need a person to come up and show us gratitude, but it makes what we do that much more rewarding when someone says, "Hey, thanks."
Well, and so when we talk about gratitude for the firefighters, maybe you do see one and you give him a pat on the back. Maybe you shake his hand, socially distanced. Air handshake.
Right.
No.
Fist bump.
Fist bump. But maybe you do that. Maybe you volunteer some time at your local fire department to help clean. Maybe if you're able to, maybe provide them lunch. But I want you to think of like some real simplistic things. What if we just didn't park in the fire lane?
Yeah.
What if we got over with a sense of urgency when we heard a siren and didn't wait to see if we were in its way?
Right.
Those are where you actually everyone can do these.
Yeah.
Everyone can afford to do these.
Or try to outrun them. I see people like fire trucks barreling down the road and they're going 55 and a 35 to get away from him. It's like, bro, he's not chasing you.
I know, right?
You know?
That's funny.
But
yeah, that's not the police, man.
right, exactly. You're not running for them. You're good. But that's the thing. And I hope everyone that's listening to this, like, take a point today, tomorrow, next week, every day, and try to show some appreciation. Maybe it's walking in the door and saying, honey, thanks so much for cleaning the house. Or, hey, thanks for making dinner, paying for dinner, whatever it is. Maybe you don't have a honey sitting at home. Maybe it's walking in the door telling your mom or dad thanks. Whatever it is, try to express that gratitude, because we're in a world right now where everything is so pressed on negativity. Literally, we're lining people up against each other, with just nothing but negativity. So gratitude and positive attitude is very hard to come by. But if you commit yourself into showing both of those things, you would be amazed the way your interaction throughout the day will go with other people.
Well, the things that people will want to do more for you because they will be so excited. Well, the example that it made me, we've loosely talked on this we talk about this in different directions all the time,
right?
But around being good, solid leaders in our household for our wife and our children, and you had just brought up the wife. Well, how many times do we think we know better than our wife? Maybe we do sometimes. All the time. However, so we want to, we believe that even if I ruffle her feathers a little bit, or our kids, okay, even if I ruffle, because we do know better than our kids, right? Even if I ruffle their feathers a little bit, oh well, they'll be here tomorrow.
Yep.
And we take for granted the fact that they will be, but make sure that we are, instead of, I don't know if I've talked on a podcast before. So my youngest son, may or may not be on the spectrum, looking at doing some testing and things, but he was 5.5 right now, but he was a little bit younger, very, very nonverbal. And it made me realize that as a parent, we slap "I love you" on all of our family like it's just the golden heal-all.
Yeah, exactly.
We go about doing whatever we want throughout the day, saying whatever we want.
As you say, I love
and
you,
every once in a while, I love you.
Yeah.
And it was a real opportunity. It was a real eye-opening event when I realized, my son's nonverbal. He's not getting the golden seal of, hey, I love you.
Yeah.
And it made me realize, I actually have to make sure that through action, at some fashion, each day, he realizes it through action.
Yeah.
That's huge. Make sure you're doing that for your kids and your wife.
That's actually a crazy concept because, when I look at it, like my son, he just wants to please, that's what he does. And so he will perform just about anything to get you to acknowledge and to show him praise, to show him gratitude. And it's not something, you can, like you said, you can look at him and be like, I love you. And be like, I love you too, Dad. But does he comprehend the meaning behind I love you too? Right. At 4 years old, I would say not. Maybe to some degree, but not to the degree we expect. So that kind of falls into the gratitude that we show, that maybe sometimes we have to change the way we show gratitude, as it applies to the people that work with us, for us, or whatever the case may be.
It's huge.
That going through and saying thank
gratitude.
you. Yeah, going through and saying thank you to every individual may not be what does it. Going through and saying it, to your front desk person, hey, Bob, nice tie. Maybe that compliment is something that gets them to, feel appreciated. But understanding, I guess you can call it people's love language of gratitude, is very important as well. That's part of being a leader, is you need to understand the people that you're commanding, how you can operate and reach each one of those individuals. So I mean, it's huge. And again, we can go way, way, way down this rabbit hole. But the fact of the matter is find a way to show your gratitude towards the people that you surround yourself with. Let the people that see you on a regular basis know how grateful you are for having them in the picture, because one day they may not. They may 100%. Take off and work somewhere else. They may, you never know. So I'm going to give it the Jerry Springer, any closing thoughts? Final thoughts.
Always got to put on some final thoughts.
Gregory Springer.
My final thoughts for today. I'm a piggyback, man. I'm a piggyback off where you left us right there. Think about ways that, attitude of gratitude. I want to challenge your mindset to realize all the things that you have to be grateful for. Mm-hmm. And my last challenge is, how can you show your appreciation to others, whoever that may be, through action and non-verbal ways.
Right. And for me, closing once again, I said this earlier in the podcast, the fact is there's a lot of negativity that's underlying right now. The mindsets of people, the distractions, all that stuff. set those aside, focus on the positive, focus on the attitude of gratitude and the attitude of positivity when dealing with people, and you would be absolutely amazed with the results that come from that. So, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Hope you are having a fantastic day. We look forward to talking to you soon.